Hi everyone, I'm David Goodwin, and today I'm going to talk with you how to produce a graphic organiser using Microsoft PowerPoint. Just a little bit about myself before we begin. As I said, my name's David Goodwin. I'm a geography teacher of 10 years now, currently a head of year as well, and also an A-level graphics design, ex-A-level graphics design pupil, which is one of the reasons why I love dual coding as a method for organising our ideas and to support students with their learning. Before we begin, just a couple of things that I will say. I won't talk too much about the theory around dual coding in this video, and one thing I do suggest before you watch this video is that you do watch Oliver Caviglioli's latest round of CPD on how to organise ideas. Because one of the biggest issues that teachers encounter is actually selecting the right organiser for the information that they want to present. And if we don't select the right organisers, we're already producing something that isn't really fit for purpose. So it's important that you take the time to watch those sessions or read his book, look at his Twitter account. There's plenty of great examples out there. The other thing I'd say before we start, as you can see on the screen there, lots of icons. By no means does dual coding mean you have to use icons. And Adam Box's fantastic blog a few weeks ago talked about the issues that pupils might encounter when using icons. The reason that I have them in my presentation of my organiser today is for anyone that does decide that they want to use them, because there are examples of icons that can be used effectively, all right, but what I would caution is restraint, and as I said, the reason that I'm including them in my presentation is because I've got some little hints and tips of how to take them from different areas, put them into our graphic organisers efficiently in a timely manner. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. I have already recorded my step-by-step tutorial, but I'm going to do the voiceover for it so I can talk you through each of the stages. So the first thing I'd say is this. When using PowerPoint, one of the great advantages is under View, you'll find something called grids and guidelines. Really, really important. That is really going to help us position a lot of the, it's going to help us position everything. It's going to help us ensure that we put our text, our icons in the right position. And I'm going to go ahead and put in this little black rectangle at the top here, simply because a lot of the graphic organisers that I now produce, or the resources I now produce, are quite heavily influenced by either books or newspapers that do have a certain element of sophistication to them. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to produce something that is aesthetically very pleasing, and if we really, really want to foster quite an environment of high-end education where we're really pushing and stretching our pupils, I think our resources should reflect that. And again, I won't talk too much about the theory because Oliver Caviglioli's fantastic CPD session on Seneca can do that for you, and I recommend using that. But that's just a little bit of the reason why I've done that. So first little thing that I'm going to show you how to do is this icon here. As I said, icons are not essential, but there are cases where an icon might reinforce an idea, providing that the icon is concrete and not too abstract. In this case, what I'm going to show you how to do is actually how to create your own, because there'll be certain times when you won't find what you're looking for, and also it's going to help me just embed a couple of ideas along the way here. So what you can see so far is I've included my head, and I've inserted a circle, and one of the great things that we can now do on PowerPoint is this here. Look, I've included my circle, but to ensure that it is a perfect circle, under the format heading here, look, I can change the height and the width, so it's square, 0.7 centimeters by 0.7 centimeters. Okay. Now what I've done is I've copied and pasted. That's going to save you a massive amount of time when you're producing these. So there'll be loads of examples in this video where you can simply copy and paste things, yeah, and that speeds things up. So here, copy and paste my circle. I'm going to line it up, because another great feature of PowerPoint is being able to line things up, and I'm going to see, here we go, the dotted lines. All right, and that circle's slightly bigger than that one at the front. One at the front's to represent working memory. This one at the rear is going to be our long-term memory, and I'm going to attach some nodes to illustrate schema. And again, we can get that aligned perfectly. And for the final time. Super. And then from there, I'm going to connect those nodes to show the links between our schema building. And again, look at that. I hover over the circle and we get loads of little dots around the outside. So those two circles are now connected by that line. And if I was to move one circle, the other circle would move with it. Okay. And it's a great way of just making sure that we get our lines either perfectly straight, or we get everything looking exactly the same for that continuity. And again, I'll talk about this as an idea of sophistication. We want to produce something that looks professional. From there, I'll show you how to insert a curved connecting arrow, like so. So a curved arrow connector, but I want a double arrow here to represent information being encoded and then being retrieved. I can extend that up, okay, to make it more curved. Just going to change the colour of it. Make it a little bit thicker, and then add some dash to it. And as I said previously, because that's a connector, I can move one circle and the arrow will move with it. Look, it stays stuck to it, like so, and then I can heighten that. Now, from there, I've created this little icon. I might want to use that in the future. So I highlight everything, I group it together, and I can, if I right-click on that icon, after I've just adjusted the size, but if I right-click on that, I can save that as a picture. So I can save it as a JPEG, a PNG, and I've got that then for the future. So again, if we're thinking about being time efficient here, what better way of something that we might use in future for staff CPD, for example, or for a resource. I've got that icon made. It's there. Yeah, so I've saved that as a JPEG. All right, so from there, I'm going to start building up my organiser. I'm just checking on the size of it, just to replicate the one that I made earlier. So 2.5 centimeters in height. Okay, and I'm just going to pop it into position. Now, one thing I would say, I'm just going to quickly speed this up because you don't need to see me copying and pasting the text in. But one thing I would say before you start to do any connecting and adding lines in and that kind of thing, position your text, position all of the material. Don't try and start connecting it, because that will take time. You'll realise that you move things around because you're not happy with the positioning and things like that. And if things are already connected, that's just wasted time. Yeah. So just ensure you put everything into position first before you start doing any connectives. Right. Next, what I'm going to show you is just a little trick if you are using any icons. So Noun Project seems to be the place to go. Everyone seems to be using it. So I type in books because it's a book icon that I'm going to be using here. And I use Snipping Tool. You might use Print Screen. You might have the premium version of Noun Project. But I'm just going to right-click this, copy and paste this into my presentation. And one of the things that you'll notice is you get this little grey haze in the background there. And again, I'm looking for a professional piece of work here. That's going to stand out when that's printed, or if I'm showing that up on a slide, for example. So there's a couple of things you can do. And what I used to do was this. I used to go to remove background, and it takes ages. All right. So and there are cases where you'll still need to do that if you're not going to have a white background, for example. However, if you are going to use a white background, which I do advocate, there's a little simple trick you can do. Go to colour and select this option here. the black and white option, and what you'll notice is that grey haze is now gone. It's no longer there. All right, that will save you a massive amount of time. Okay. Then from there, I'm going to build up my icons just very similar to the way in which I did my first one. I'm putting in a kind of like a stop sign over it, because I'm showing in this little piece of information here that books aren't allowed to be used. And again, following the same practice of the height of it, I can click on it, format, adjust the height by typing it on this occasion. And again, tapping it there, speeding things up, yeah? And I can adjust the thickness of that there. Going with a light grey. Just notice one thing, it's something that if you have been watching Oliver's sessions or reading his book, very little use of colour on here, very little use of things that will distract our pupils from what we want them to learn. There's no distractions there. There's two colours being used. There's the black and the white, and then obviously the grey as well, but very minimal colour. Not to say that you can't use colour, but I believe the rule of thumb is to use two different colours at the most. Okay, now I'm just starting to position my text and my icons. Again, there's a couple of little things that I'll show you here just to speed this up, just to ensure that things are the equal length or distance apart from each other. So I'll show you it when I insert this kind of final little branch here. So basically what I'm looking to do is ensure that the text is equal distance apart between those three different pieces of text. And at the moment it's not working. It's probably because the icons are too close to the text. So I'll remove those, and now what you can see, look, are those little dotted lines, those little red arrows that indicate that those three pieces of text are of equal distance apart. Okay, now I can drop in my icons. All right, and I'll show you how to branch this together now. All right, so this is what we call this graphic organizer as a hierarchy. I'm chunking information together. So I'm going to put in my heading. This branch over here this is all to do with the principles, and again, look at that. I want that aligned so it fits into the middle of those three pieces of information. And then from there, how to connect it. Now, I see a lot of examples of this, and I used to do this a lot. The use of lines. So you insert a line and you try to connect it, and then you go back, and what you realise is that the line isn't perfectly straight. Okay, so one thing you can do, this is a little hack here, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard as you drag your line, and that will give you a perfect line, and you can do it diagonally, almost like a northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, and it will give you a perfect straight line going in those directions. However, what I have started to use a lot of is these elbow connectors that save, again, so much time. So that connects perfectly there. You get those little circles around the outside of your box or your icon, look, that can line everything up for you. Like so. Notice how I don't change the colour after each one. Again, I want to save time. Actually, after I've connected everything together, and I'll hold down the Shift key, select each of them, although I forget to do that vertical line the first time around, and then I do it all together, just because, again, we want to save time here. All right, so that first half's done, completed, and there isn't a great deal on that second half there that's too much different to what I've done in the first half on that first side. So I can whiz through the majority of what I've already done, I suppose. It's almost just a repeat of what we've done. But look, that'll connect perfectly on the opposite side as well. And I'll just rewind a little bit here just to talk. So One of the other things that you might want to do afterwards is group everything together. So if I highlight my whole page here, I can click on arrange and then group, and it'll just allow me to move the whole visual if I need to. If I could see that it's not quite in the center, or we've got a little bit too much over onto one side, so it just allows me to move everything together. I remove the grids and the guidelines, and there's our finished product. And then from there, we can save it in a variety of formats. It can be saved as a PDF, it can be saved as a JPEG, your PowerPoint. If you wanted to, you could put animations on it. If you wanted to drip feed information, the list of possibilities is endless, really. So that concludes everything for this video. I will produce more videos in the future if there's a demand for it. And as I said at the start, this was about just showing you a simple step-by-step guide how to produce these, and nothing more. The theory behind it, I strongly suggest, as I said, reading Oliver's book, using his CPD sessions, and watching Adam Box's fantastic Research Ed home presentation, where he looks at dual coding as a mechanism for explaining and teaching things, and how to do so without necessarily having to produce organisers like this, just by using a whiteboard and a whiteboard pen. But as I said, if you like, I will produce more. Share it with as many people as possible, and anyone that you think might find it useful. And if you have any questions, you know where I am on Twitter. Please feel free to get in touch, and I'll be happy to discuss with you further. Thank you. Goodbye.